Chairman. As the son of two Pentecostal ministers from a small church in Baltimore, I understand the position of the religious community on this issue. I know both through my faith and my legal training that we have an obligation as a nation to make accommodations when appropriate to avoid undue interference with the practice of religion. But there's another core interest we must consider, and that is the interest of women. The pill has had a profound impact on their well-being, far more than any man in this room can possibly know. It has allowed women to control their lives and make very personal decisions about how many children to have and when to have them. I think everyone understands what is going on here today. The Chairman is promoting a conspiracy theory that the federal government is conducting a war against religion. He has stacked the hearing with witnesses who agree with his position. He has not invited Catholic Health Association, Catholic Charities, Catholics United, or a host of other Catholic groups that praise the White House for making the accommodation they made last week. He has also refused to allow a minority witness to testify about the interests of women who want safe and affordable coverage for basic preventive health care, including contraception. In my opinion, this committee commits a massive injustice by trying to pretend that the views of millions of women across this country are meaningless or worthless or irrelevant to the debate. For these reasons, I yield the rest of my time to Congresswoman from New York, Carolyn Maloney.
Thank you, Elijah. I know firsthand of your deep faith, and I know you place tremendous value on your faith and on open dialogue. So I appreciate your efforts to get a more balanced hearing today. What I want to know is, where are the women? When I look at this panel, I don't see one single woman representing the tens of millions of women across the country who want and need insurance coverage for basic preventive health care services, including family planning. Where are the women? Mr. Chairman, I was deeply disturbed that you rejected our request to hear from a woman, a third-year student at Georgetown Law School named Sandra Fluke. She hoped to tell this committee about a classmate of hers who was diagnosed with a syndrome that causes ovarian cysts. Her doctor prescribed the pill to treat this disease, but her student insurance did not cover it. Over several months, she paid out hundreds of dollars in out-of-pocket costs until she could no longer afford her medication, and she eventually ended up losing her ovary. Your staff told us you personally rejected Ms. Fluke's testimony, saying that, and I quote, "The hearing is not about reproductive rights and contraception," end quote. Of course this hearing is about rights, contraception and birth control. It's about the fact that women want to have access to basic health services, family planning through their health insurance plan. But some would prevent them from having it by using lawsuits and ballot initiatives in dozens of states to roll back the fundamental rights of women to a time when the government thought what happened in the bedroom was their business and contraceptives were illegal. Tens of millions of us who are following these hearings lived through those times, and I can tell you with great certainty, we will not be forced back to that dark and primitive era. This is why last week the administration announced a common-sense accommodation. Churches do not have to provide insurance coverage for contraceptives. They do not have to approve them. They do not have to prescribe them, dispense them, or use them. But women will have the right to access them. Women who work at nonprofit religious entities like hospitals and universities will be able to obtain coverage directly from their insurance companies, not from religious organizations, but from independent insurance companies. Medical and health experts support this policy. Economists support it, and a host of Catholic groups that were conspicuously not invited to testify today. The vast majority of women, including women of faith, use some form of birth control at some point in their lives, whether to plan the number or spacing of their children or to address significant medical conditions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I am using this to urge you once again to let Ms. Fluke testify. Let one woman speak for the panel right now on this all-male panel. She is here in the audience today. She is steps away. Even if you think you will disagree with everything she says, don't we owe it to the tens of millions of American women whose lives will be affected to let just one woman speak on their behalf today on this panel, as requested by the Democratic minority?